Welcome to this week's edition of BHC Today. It's a Friday. Friday is date day at my house. Every Friday we go on a date, and usually we leave about 1 o'clock and we're home by 3. Seldom are we out past 5 o'clock. That's our age showing. But when we go out to eat, usually when the food comes, the first thing I do is I reach for the salt. And my wife looks at me and says, "Rob, you salt it before you even taste it." And she says, "Why do you use so much salt?" I don't know. I've always used salt. I love salt. And when I started talking about salt, did you know salt has always been a valuable commodity? In ancient times, people used salt like money. It was a commodity like gold or silver. Roman soldiers would get paid their wages in salt. It was from this practice that we got the phrase that he is not worth his salt. Jesus talked about salt in the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew 5:13, he says to his followers, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how can it be made salty again? It is good for nothing anymore except to be thrown away and trampled underfoot by man." It's a great verse in the Bible. It revolves around the idea that Christians are likened to salt. As I think about the ancient uses for salt and the modern uses of salt, there are 3 lessons we can learn from salt today. First, salt adds flavor. That's my defense. Honey, salt adds flavor. Being from the South, I love grits. Some of you cringe when you talk about grits, but I love grits. But I need a little butter and salt with my grits. Without salt or butter, the grits are no-go. But once I flavor them up with my salt, I love salt. Same with fries or potatoes. The first thing I do is I add salt because it adds flavor to them. Friends, it's amazing how much flavor a little salt can add. In the same way, as a Christian, you are the salt of the earth. You are to add flavor to the world. You are to add flavor. You are God's seasoning to the world. Allow God to use you to add flavor to a lost and dying world. Secondly, salt creates thirst. Salt creates thirst. Have you ever gone to the movie theater and you get a big tub of popcorn and you start eating that hot buttered popcorn that's seasoned in salt, and before you know it, you need something to drink? Man, they know what they're doing. They give you salty popcorn because it creates thirst and it makes you buy that $7 Coca-Cola at the movie store. Same thing with restaurants and bars. They may put out salty pretzels or salty peanuts there for free because they know when you eat them, it creates thirst and you'll buy drinks and spend money at their establishment. In the same way, I believe Christians are so live their lives that they create thirst in other people. That when people see the way you talk and see the way you walk, they'll want what it is that you have. That they will have a thirst that says, "I want what you have. What makes you tick?" And they will want Jesus Christ. I believe that your life, living your life in a non-Christian world, can create a thirst for God that people have never had before. So salt adds flavor, salt creates thirst, and third, salt can sometimes irritate and burn. If you are to place salt in an open wound, it can burn. But do you know, it can also heal. The irritation and the burn leads to healing. The same is true when you live your life in front of non-Christians. Your life may irritate them at first. It may burn a little when you speak the truth in love. But it is that irritation, it is that burn that leads them to eternal healing. It convicts them and they know something is wrong and they'll seek the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So as Christians, I hope you remember today that you are the salt of the earth. You are to add flavor to the world. You are the salt of the earth. You are to create thirst in the world. You are the salt of the earth. You may irritate and burn, but it's the burning that leads to healing and an eternal relationship with Jesus Christ. It's these verses when I'm reminded that I am not to blend in with the world. I am to be separate from the world. I am to be different. As a follower of Christ, I am, and you are, the salt of the earth. And that, my friends, is an encouraging word.